Hello and welcome to the Cruise Files. I'm Cheryl Baker, and in this programme we aim to inspire and educate about the wonderful world of cruise holidays. In this edition we're cruising with Fred Olsen Cruise Lines, a company who've become synonymous with British holidaymakers with comfortable, friendly, traditional cruising. And here to tell us more is Matthew Foxcroft from Fred Olsen. Hi Matthew.
Hello.
So tell me about Fred Olsen Cruise Lines, because they've got a traditional Norwegian background, haven't they?
Yeah, we are traditionally Norwegian family run. We're still family run to this day. Oh. We actually started back in 1848 when three brothers, Frederick Christian, Petter and Andreas Olsen, started the company. Three fishermen. Started out in fishing, moved into the freight business, and then in 1986 moved into the cruise market.
86? That to me sounds fairly recent, because I'm incredibly old.
No, not at all. It's relatively recent in cruising terms, but yeah, started in 86 with a ship called Black Prince. And actually from 1986 it actually took 10 years until 1996 when we introduced our second ship, which was the Black Watch. Then in 2001 we introduced the Braemar, 2006 the Boudica, and in 2008 the Balmoral. So quite a rapid acquisition of cruise ships over the past few years. But
have you got any more in the pipeline?
I think we would like another one. I think we're synonymous with small ships, so we want another small ship to try and keep it nice and friendly on board, and keep a nice mix of different destinations that you can visit on a small ship, but not just yet. I think we're happy with the four we've got now in the fleet, and hopefully in the future we'll see some new tonnage come into the fleet. So
is that what makes Fred Olsen Cruise Lines different? The fact that you're small, you can go to different ports that the big ships can't go to? It's
the major difference. We've seen that over the past few years the cruise ships have got bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. And so some of the cruise ships now carry on average between 2.5, 3, 4, 5,000 passengers. Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there who don't want that. They want something a little bit smaller. Not just with the atmosphere on board being very, very friendly. The staff are superb. But more importantly, a lot of people who cruise quite often sort of say to us, well, they go back to the same destinations. Yes. And they keep on going back to the same ports. So when they pick up our brochure and they sort of have a look through it and they sort of say, well, I've never been to this port, or I've never been to Greenland, or I've never done this particular fjord in Norway. And that's the major benefit that we have with smaller ships. We can go to different places, come to different ports, but also sail further into ports as well. In fact, on one of our ships, the Braemar, we have a selection of river cruises. So we can actually have a sail down the River Seine on the board of Braemar, all the way down to Rouen. It's the same as down in Spain. We sail all the way down the Guadalquivir River, all the way down into Seville, and you cannot do that on a bigger ship. Of course not. Of course not. So you're talking about the ports that you can go to. What about the ports on the UK? Because some of the big ships only sail from one or maybe two ports. What about Fred Olsen? Yeah, that's another big benefit with Fred Olsen is we currently sail from 10 ports in the UK. 2 ports up in Scotland, Greenock and Rosyth, the ports of Liverpool, Newcastle, Belfast, Falmouth, Dover, Southampton, Tilbury and Harwich. And what we're trying to do at Fred Olsen is we're trying to make it as easy as we possibly can for people to get to a departure port. So we estimate at the minute around about 90% of the UK's population are within around about a 2-hour drive of one of our departure ports. So it just makes it easy. It's a nice, relaxing start. It does, because if you live in, say, in the northeast or northwest and your ship's sailing from Southampton, you've already got a day's journey. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly that. I mean, myself, my local port is Liverpool, so it's just down the road, 40 minutes down the road. I can be on the ship. And the initial sailing part from Liverpool is a bit where you get to relax. You get to relax as you sail down to the Mediterranean, or you get to visit destinations that we may not sail out to some of the other ports. So say, for example, from Liverpool we sail to Greenland, but also from Liverpool you can sail to Canada. And we do that Canada sailing in 16 nights. So we try and use our regional ports to our advantage as well, especially with someone like Newcastle. There's no better place to sail to from Newcastle than the Norwegian fjords. Yes. In fact, if you sail to the Norwegian fjords from Newcastle, if you leave, say, on the Saturday, for example, on the Sunday afternoon, late Sunday afternoon, you'll actually be straight into Norway, straight scenic cruising. So it just cuts down a little bit of time on the sailing time. So you're sort of in the destination and experiencing some wonderful places. And you talk about how
much smaller your ships are. So how many passengers do they accommodate?
So we've got 4 ships in the fleet currently. The smallest one, smallest 2, Blackwatch and Boudica, carry just over 800 passengers. Then we've got the Bremer, which is just over 900 passengers, and the flagship in the fleet, which is the Balmoral, carries 1,350 passengers. So she's the biggest in our fleet, but small in comparison to the mammoth cruise lines that are out there nowadays.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've been on some. So yeah, some of them are like a city, aren't they?
Yeah, they're absolutely huge.
Yeah, huge. You can't go to, you know, you can't go to all the restaurants, for instance.
No, you can't, and
you don't get to know the other passengers.
Do you know, that's one of the key elements a lot of our clients say is there's a big benefit of cruising for the destination, but also when you're on the ship, people always say with Fred Olsen, we met some wonderful friends.
Yeah.
Not only do we meet some wonderful friends who then they see on the next cruise, but it's the staff on board. I can't really praise our staff highly enough. They're absolutely fantastic. And what we always say, it's not the first cruise sometimes with you cruise with Fred Olsen, it's the second cruise. Because if you cruise the second cruise, it's the barman who remembers your drink, the staff who remember any particular things that you had in the evening time for the evening meal. Them little things that the staff remember.
They're important. The passengers just think, it just makes it more personal, doesn't it?
Definitely does, yeah.
Yeah. And do you do fly cruises, or is it just cruising from the UK ports?
Predominantly around about 90% of what we do actually cruises from the UK ports.
Right.
We do some fly cruise though. We have a ship based down in Barbados over the winter time. Prior to that, she's actually based in Tenerife this year in 2016, where we have a number of itineraries firstly around the Canary Islands, but we also go down to the Cape Verde Islands as well.
I know them well.
Yes.
I know Cape Verde, yeah.
Yeah, and then we take the ship from Tenerife, we sail across to Barbados and a selection of cruises around the Caribbean. Once again, some nice itineraries around the Caribbean, also calling into Cuba. We're not American done, so we can sail into Cuba. So sometimes people look at our Caribbean itineraries and will say there's a few different ports of call that they may have not been to in the past before. And then generally in the months from January through till March, we have our exotic fly cruises. And these are things that are a little bit further afield. So maybe flying off to Sydney or Auckland and picking the ship up there and maybe cruising to somewhere like Singapore. So normally through the months of January through March, we have a number of exotic fly cruises to set people a little bit further afield who maybe don't want to sail all the way there and all the way back, which they can do with us. They can go on the full voyage, so 107, 108 nights world cruises, they can go on that full voyage. Or if they don't want that, maybe they can't have that because they're still in work, they can just have a 15 maybe night itinerary or 20 night itinerary, but still see some of the wonderful sights that are further afield.
You preempted my next question. I was going to say, how long or short are the cruises generally? But 109, 110
108
days?
nights,
Wow.
yeah, 108 nights. And we have regulars who always go on the world cruise. They're on the world cruise every year. But that's not for everyone, so we start from 3 nights. We have a 3-night short mini cruise if you've never cruised before and you want to try it for the very first time. A little 3-night short break, maybe to somewhere like Rouen down the river, or maybe across to Dublin from Liverpool. These short breaks are great if people have never cruised before. And they're thinking, well, I hear people talking about cruise and they watch the programmes and what have you, and we say, well, I'm thinking about it, but I'm not too sure. Great little 3-night break, just to sample it, just to get a feel of it, is a great introduction to cruising. It
really is, because some people, I've spoken to lots of people, I've done lots of cruises, and some people say, oh, cruising's not for me. But you do need to try it, don't you?
Definitely.
And once you try it, that's it.
That's it. You've got the bug after that. We always say that once people have tried the first one, I speak to a lot of people on the cruise ships when I'm on board the vessels, and they always say, sometimes it's the husband or the wife, one of them sort of says, well, one of them did want to do it and the other one didn't want to do it, and then we decided to do one. And now we're hooked. And then you'll generally say that they did the first one a year ago, and then they go on 2 a year, 3 a year, 4 a year, and then that's it. They're sort of continuously cruising all around the world after that. So a 3-night break is a great introduction to cruising.
And what's the average age of your passengers?
Because our ship's a little bit smaller, we have a generally average age of 50 plus, but anyone can come on board. We're open to anyone. Obviously, because our ships are smaller, we don't have the facilities for maybe the families that the bigger ships have. That's one thing we would say is, these bigger ships do have all the rock climbing walls and the windsurfing parks. We don't have that. So we generally say that a lot of our clientele, we have a lot of couples who travel with us, who are cruising with us because of the destination. That's the number one reason. They're looking to cruise to somewhere that they've never been to before, and that's why they're choosing us. So rather than necessarily choosing us because of the ship or because they've got kids and the kids are going to be entertained. So it's a slight difference between some of the big ships and the smaller ships.
And what about dress code? Because some of the ships say, no, it's all, casual, and some of them have a couple of, you know, black tie.
Yeah, we are a traditional, formal cruise line. So even though we are Norwegian family run, and everyone will know our Norwegian heritage, we're a completely British cruise experience. So it's traditional British cruise as well. So on a 7-night cruise, we still have the formal nights, we still have black tie nights. But we wouldn't want that to put people off. If they've never cruised before and they may be thinking formal night, we'd always say try it. It's a great occasion. It's lovely when you get everyone dressed up in an evening time. But if they're a little bit unsure, there's always a buffet option every night. They can always go down to the buffet. But generally on a 7-night cruise, 2 formal nights, and the rest of the time, just smart, I would generally say. I think when most people are going out in the UK to a restaurant, generally the gentleman evening time, pair of trousers, pants, shoes, nice shirt, that's fine in the evening time.
So on formal nights, you don't have to dress formal. You can go to the buffet.
You can always go to the buffet. Yeah, you can always go to the buffet. And if you didn't have a tux and you wanted to go to the formal restaurant, a dark suit is fine for the gents. A nice dress or some nice for the ladies is fine as well. And we would always encourage people to try a formal night. And I was strange. I spoke to a lot of people who sort of said, I was always a bit dubious about doing the formal night, but actually it was our favourite night. And that's the thing which we're looking forward to next time. Not only that, but on Fred Olsen, we still do the welcome and farewell cocktail party with the captain.
Yeah, that's lovely.
It's
really
such a great experience. And people always say, you know, if they cruise with other cruise line, it's the first time I've actually met the captain. I had the picture taken with the captain, and then the captain's come on board, the master, and he's sort of done an introduction and introduced his key personnel on board the ship. And then at the end of the cruise, he generally summarises the food that the ship's gone through and the where they've been and what have you. And that's great. And I think a lot of people always say that with Fred Olsen, you can meet the staff, you can meet the captain, you'll see him walking around, you'll see the senior officers, and they'll stop and have a chat, and some of them will get to know a lot of the officers on board as well, which is a nice experience.
It's a wonderful experience, and personally I love dressing up. It doesn't have to be a posh frock, it doesn't have to be long. Cocktail dresses are fine, but I love all that. That's right up my street.
It's a nice occasion. It's also the pictures that you take on a formal night as well. You know, if you ever go around people's house and they've got a picture, they've been on a cruise and that was the formal night. Them are the nice pictures that you like to put in the frames.
Well, Matthew, I'm going to stop there because we've got to go to a break, but we'll talk some more after this. Hello and welcome back to the Cruise Files. Matthew Foxcroft from Fred Olsen Cruise Lines is still with me. So Matthew, tell me about the entertainment on board.
Oh, there's a nice mix of different entertainment. There's the shows in the Neptune Lounge. Every one of our ships, the main show lounge is called the Neptune Lounge. So if people are going on different ships and they're sort of concerned about where the show lounge is, they always know to head down to the Neptune for the main show of an evening time. And there's a nice mix of British entertainment, mix of cabaret, guest performances, comedians. But it's nice and relaxed because it's a show lounge. So you've got drinks being served throughout the performance as well, which is nice. It makes it nice and relaxing. But then if people don't want to go and see a show of an evening time, sometimes people think because it's only a small ship, we've only got limited sometimes facilities and limited lounges, but that's not the case. If they don't want to go to the Neptune Lounge, all of their ships have got the observatory, so a nice quiet drink. You can go and have a listen to the pianist up there, or you've got the Morning Light pub on board with generally entertainment on, and then you've got another option as well, generally the Lido Bar or the Coral Club with different live entertainment on. But always it's catered for the British market on board the entertainment.
That's something we were talking about during the break.
Yeah, it was.
I asked you if you have many Norwegian passengers because it's a Norwegian line. Yeah,
and it's strange because the cruise experience is traditional British. So even though, like I said, we are Norwegian family run, about 93% of the clientele which we have on board are British. And I think that's because we sail from so many UK ports. We don't have a ship based in the Mediterranean over the summer. So I think a lot of people generally sail with us will sail from the UK and will be sort of UK nationals and what have you. So it's a very, very small percentage of other nationalities we get on board. But that has its benefits because the onboard TAN announcements, they're only in English as well. But small things like the currency on board, it's sterling currency. So people always look at the bar prices, they know exactly what they're paying. And it's very reasonable on board as well. All of our bar prices are UK pub prices. So at least when people do see it, they see a pint of beer, it's something which they don't think will try and convert it into dollars or what have you. They'll know straight away.
Lots of the ships use US dollars, don't they?
Yeah, they definitely do.
And also sterling.
Sterling currency on board, yeah.
Not Norwegian kroner.
No, not Norwegian kroner. No, it might be a bit of an expensive affair if it was Norwegian kroner, unfortunately. I hope the Norwegians don't mind me saying that, but it's a lovely destination, but very expensive. So yeah, sterling currency experiences, so people don't need to worry about that.
So tell me about the facilities on board. What else can you do? You've got the great entertainment of an evening.
Yeah.
What about during the day?
Yeah, plenty of things to do during the day. You'll have different lectures on board. We have a nice lecture programme on board, especially when you look at the destinations that we're visiting. So if you're going to somewhere like Spitsbergen or Iceland and you're seeing all that wonderful wildlife that's up there, it's great to have some lecturers on board that maybe have an interest in the wildlife. And we do cruises that are wildlife cruises as well. In fact, in 2017, a newly launched cruise is a cruise around the British Isles, where we're taking in some of the wildlife around the British Isles. But the other facilities on board, spa. Go to the spa, we have a spa treatment, we've got that on board, we've got the gym facilities, casino of an evening time as well. But we'd always said there's plenty to do. You get the Daily Times newspaper at the evening before, so you can plan your activities, but you don't have to feel like you have to turn up to things. I think that's sometimes when people are new to cruise, they sometimes say, well, I don't want to feel like I have to do things on board a cruise ship, and people don't need to worry about that. You can do as little or as much as you like. I think that's one of the benefits. You know, you'll get the Daily Times newspaper and you'll think, right, 3:30, no, my afternoon tea, if I'm being honest with you, but if there's something on there that you want to go and do, you can go down and do it. There's no onboard talent announcements announcing things that are on board. So the Daily Times newspaper of a daytime is the sort of the Bible that people use as they're going round the ship to find out when things are going on. But if people just want to sit out on deck and just relax and enjoy the sunshine, then that's fine as well.
And how about restaurants? Have you just got the main restaurant and the buffet? Yeah,
we've got the main restaurants and the buffet option. We have the Grill as well, which is a speciality restaurant of an evening time which people can pre-book. But normally the restaurants, we have a choice of the main restaurants and a couple of other restaurants, but it's the same menu in the main restaurants. And we have two sit-ins. We generally have a 6:15, 6:30 sit-in and then an 8:30 sit-in.
Right.
So what we say, because it's traditional cruise, if you were booking on an 8:30 sit-in for a table for 4, you'd have the same table, same people, same waiter for the duration of the cruise.
Oh, well, that's nice, because then you get to know everybody. Yeah, that
You get to know your waiter as well, and when you walk into the restaurant on day 2, you know where your table is, and it makes it nice and easy and a bit more relaxing. What
about the shows, though, if you want to go and see a show?
Yeah. So after first sitting, we have first performance in the Neptune Lounge, and then while the first performance is going on, all of our second sitting clients are having a lovely evening meal, and then once the first show is finished and second sitting has finished, then second sitting clients will then go and see exactly the same show.
Okay.
So it's the same show repeated
so no
twice.
One loses
no
out.
one misses out. Yeah. No one misses out. And so basically, when everyone's come out of that show, then there's a bit of a gap, and then all of our second sitting clients will then go down and watch exactly the same show. So a bit of a tight turnaround for some of the entertainment staff. But it's great. It's a nice buzz of an evening time in the Neptune Lounge.
And what about if you've got specific dietary requirements?
Yeah, we'd always say the most important thing is to tell us before you travel.
Right.
Let us know. Let us know if you've got any particular requirements, so we can go through that. You can talk to your consultant and they will go through the dietary requirements. But let us know. The chefs are more than accommodating on board, so we'll try our very best. And I think what people generally say about the food on board Fred Olsen is it's very, very good quality. I mean, people always say that in cruising in general, that, you know, people say, you think it's £1 a day. Sometimes you could put on a cruise, there's so much choice, but the food is very, very good. Once again, caters towards the British market as well, but plenty of choice. So nice breakfast, waiter service or buffet style, 10 o'clock tea and biscuits, 12 o'clock lunch. My favourite part of the day, I've already mentioned it, afternoon tea.
I love afternoon tea, I love it.
I think you generally see the decks, it's got to get a little bit quieter. When it gets to about 3 o'clock, I sort of look round and sort of think, oh, where's everyone gone? And think afternoon tea time, everyone will go down for a nice sandwich and a lovely cake. And then the 2 sit-ins, and then sometimes I think if you've seen the evening show, especially if you're on first sit-in, you might have a bit of a rumble. Supper club, 11:30.
Oh, really?
11:30, down for the buffet for supper club. So there's something late on as well. So maybe if you've been to the casino, we've only got a small casino, if you've been down to the casino or you've been seeing a show and you want to grab something before you get to retire in the evening time, you can do as well. So plenty of choice and plenty of different, fresh, good quality food throughout the day.
Now, how about, we've been talking about the fact that it's not so much aimed at families, it's more for couples or you know, single people.
Yeah.
What if you're on your own? What if you don't have someone to come with?
Do you know, that's a great point, because we speak to a lot of single travellers, and when we speak to the single travellers on board, they will always say, it's nice because it's a smaller ship. So if you're on your own, you never feel like, you always feel that you can want to see the same members of staff, but see other people as well. So we dine single people together, so they dine on the same table together as well, so they get to meet other single travellers. But one of the main benefits, I think, with travelling with Fred Olsen are single prices. we try our very, very best to give competitive rates for singles. So throughout the year, sometimes we'll have no single supplement cruises or reduced single supplements. So that's generally reduced single supplements on twin cabins for sole use, but we also have a nice range of single cabins. Okay. Single inside, single outside, single superior and single balcony cabins. So singles always feel at home on board Fred Olsen. I think it's a nice environment, certainly from a UK port, meeting other singles on board. But I think as well, one eye on the price, I think they'll always say that actually price-wise and cost-effective, it's very, very good as well.
I was going to ask you actually, my next question was, tell me about the cabins.
Yeah, well, there's a nice mix. And I think, once again, if you're a first-time cruiser, sometimes when you look at the back of the brochure, it can be a bit daunting. Yes. You look at all the different cabins and all the different decks. And we essentially work off from the front price, which is an inside cabin. Normally Downs on decks 3, something like that, decks 3, decks 4, inside cabin, moving into an outside cabin, generally same square footage, so you just pay that a little bit more to have an outside cabin. You pay that a little bit more to go up to a superior cabin, generally no difference in square footage, but you have a picture window, so a little bit more light coming into the cabin, and then up to the balconies. So if you want that little bit more outside space, because people sometimes say, well, can you open the window? You can't open the window. Yeah. So if you want that outside space and you want a bit of fresher, balcony cabin. Balcony cabin then up to a mix of different suites, a range of suites, generally ranging in square footage. So 200, 300, 400, 500 square feet. And this basically works its way from the bottom right to the top of the ship. Right. So bottom on your inside cabin all the way up to the top of the ship on some of our superior suites, premier suites, marquee suites. But there's a nice mix, and then if you are in a suite, you do get some additional extras as well, which is always nice to have. Nice afternoon canapé service, the luxury bathrobes, the additional benefits that you'll get, I think, as a suite is not just the square footage, but them little touches that I think you do notice when you pay that little bit more money to go into a suite. So it is nice.
So they're the extras you get, but what do you get as a general package when you book your holiday with Fred Olsen?
Yeah, and I think just generally in cruising terms, it is such a cost-effective way to travel nowadays because of what is included. And sometimes when I sit down and I think about it, if I'm on another holiday and I'm just in a normal hotel and I sometimes think about cruising, I sometimes think, well, the full board, so all the meals throughout the day, all the entertainment in the evening time, all that is all included. The only additional extras that you'll get to pay for are the drinks, the shore excursions, and any spare treatments. But what we'd always say is, because we are a smaller ship, use this shore excursion booklet wisely, because obviously we're docking closer into town, so you can get off and do your own thing if you wish to do so. But the shore excursion guide, which we send out a number of weeks beforehand, will always give people a good guide. And I think the benefits to do with the shore excursions, if you want to go and see something which is just a little bit further away from the port, you can book that in advance and know that you've got that confirmed, so you know you're doing that on one of the port days, or you can book it on board. Go on board, speak to one of our tours managers on board. They'll go through all the shore excursions. In fact, we do a pre-port lecture. So if you get on board for the first day and you kind of think, well, I've been toying with the idea of maybe you're in St. Petersburg and going around a city tour, but I'm not too sure. Go down, listen to the lecture, and they'll go through all the details. So you can then feel comfortable in thinking, right, that's for me. I'm going to book that and know that on that day in port, you can get up, go to the Neptune Lounge and be straight off and straight on your shore excursion.
Fantastic.
So them are the only sort of extras really. Otherwise, there's an awful lot included.
Well, I'm sold.
Good.
And I'd love to see St. Petersburg. So
it's a lovely city.
Expect to see me on Fred Olsen.
Oh,
Matthew, thank you so much. You've been so informative. That was brilliant. So, thanks to you for watching. I'll see you again next time with more from the Cruise Files. See you soon.